Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this LinkedIn Live special from San Antonio. As you know, we are celebrating the BRM Connect 2022. And what better way to kickstart this LinkedIn Live with two of the BRM legends from the University of San Antonio, right? University of Texas
That's
in
it.
San Antonio. So let's hear from the guest today. So let's start with Ashley. You want to go front and say a little bit about you and what you're up to as a BRM?
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Suresh, for having us. My name is Ashley Vasquez. I'm the Assistant Director of Strategic Services at the University of Texas at San Antonio. Been doing this for 12 years, but doing kind of the BRM role in practice 4 years in.
Awesome. And you, Jake?
I am Jake Ernie. I am our local friendly BRM on campus. I've been at UTSA for 2 years. We've done a lot of work the last couple of years, so we're so excited to be here and talk to you about it.
Excellent. So one of the things, if you suspected why I had these two folks here, the energy level that I saw when I met them on Monday, because they had a university tour. So I showed up just to check out of curiosity what they were doing. And I was amazed by the work that they did. But before we jump into that, I want to get to the local boy and ask him what is all about San Antonio.
Yes.
I know. I've lived downtown for 2 years now. You've been here for years. But San Antonio is home to me. I've grown up all over the country, and I've never felt as part of a community as I have in San Antonio. We had the Alamo. We have UTSA, right? We have, the Alamo Dome itself and all the football world and sports. We have the Spurs. We have such a culture. And it's a very unique part of Texas because we have so many different micro cultures within this huge state.
Right.
You always like to joke, it's like, oh, we're from Texas, but we're not the only state, even though we like to think about it that way.
We're our own country once upon a time.
Exactly. But San Antonio has such a specific flavor to our state, and I fall in absolutely love with it. From the cultural events we have all throughout the year to just the essence you get when you come through here, you're not just visiting; you're part of the family. You don't want to leave. And
Yeah.
every person I've talked to come to San Antonio, they're like, "Oh, wow, this is amazing," because you don't know what you're gonna get. San Antonio really isn't in the news that much from like Austin is comparatively, right? Or San Francisco, or these
Right.
other huge states you hear or
Right.
cities you hear throughout the country.
Right.
But you do get a very unique perspective when you come here. You have a great time, and you leave wanting to come back.
Excellent. So tell us about BRM Connect because you are here for the first time, and what has been first your experience, and what did you feel different?
It's been an amazing experience. We're on day 2, and I'm just like, I want more. I want so much more to be with like-minded individuals doing the same thing. We started this 4 years ago, and we had no one to model it after. So we joined the BRM Institute, hoped to grab a few things, and
Sure.
obviously didn't have that in-person feel. So
Sure.
that's what I really appreciated is
Sure.
making these connections and being able to really hear the stories
Yeah.
of where people are at, because we're all at different levels of what we're doing in our organization. Some
Sure.
are stronger than others. So that's my passion, is being able to brainstorm off of ideas and then really connect. And we met some local people that were doing our own kind of cohort.
Right.
And I love that because often people will meet at these conferences and they take off, and that's not the vibe here at BRM Connect.
No,
It's
sure.
very much you're making lifetime connections, it feels
Right.
like.
Right. And we're all reading from the same Bible, essentially. We all get the same list of rules and stuff, but every organization is unique. We're not cookie cutter.
Right.
So it's cool to see that comparatively. You can share the same resources, but I know what I tell you might stick, might not. Be able to take some seed of truth from
Yes.
it.
Sure. Right. That's fair enough. And you see this whole part of BRM Connect. One of the theme was stronger together.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't agree more, particularly after the pandemic, as we start to reinvigorate the way of working. It's so important that we join hands and focus on the outcome, right? But that also requires people to be human-centric. And what I saw in these sessions and stuff, I was able to make the human connection. So I'm coming here after 2 years, and I didn't do the 2020 and 2021, but just coming here after 2 years just feels home, right?
Right.
And it justifies my 22 hours of flight.
Exactly.
Coming
You get inspired, you're happy, you're engaged,
Real.
you're like, yes, this is what I want. I feel at home. I think that's the
Right.
best thing. And it's our first year, and I feel that. I
Oh,
feel
sure.
that sense.
Immediately included.
Right. So let's talk about one aha moment that you have seen in the last 2 days that you would say, gosh, this is something which I never expected it? So we'll start with Jake.
Yeah.
What is one?
We
Aha
had
moment.
we had a crazy 60%, you said, right?
Right.
Of like first time participation. And us included, right? We were part of that. And I came in being like, oh, we're gonna be the small fry, y'all. We're gonna be, you know, intimidated by all these different groups coming together. And what are we gonna add to the entire puzzle? And it's gone. Being here, seeing 60% of people are new here, I feel like, oh wow. I know we're like, you know, we're rolling with what we got going, we're hearing it, but it was felt so good to know that what we were talking about wasn't just in one ear and out the other. This is something we heard for the last 3 years in BRM Connect.
Sure.
It's fresh, it's meaningful to people, and just that cultivation of knowledge and being able to build that and share that with people has been my biggest aha moment so far for the last 3 days.
Excellent. And Ashley, what is your aha moment?
For me, it's just connecting with the people. In conferences, people like to speak up. They like to kind of act, to kind of put best foot forward and say all the success stories. So the transparency behind people saying that they are new, they do have gaps, and they do have questions, and being willing to ask the questions. And you don't see that too often. It's usually the minority of the people that are quiet and they leave, and you don't get value from that. So I loved seeing that because we can all grow. And that's one of the amazing things of just everything we do. There's so much to learn, so much to grow, and being humble enough to know that you don't know everything, but having the passion to want to learn everything from everyone and teach others. So
excellent.
So
one of the things I loved about this group was when we did this university meeting on Monday, it was an open invitation for everybody to come there and join hands. And when I went there, and of course we had a couple of people from University of Trinity. And the way you explained them to what was happening, I felt that they instantly got connected. They said, wow, this is something that we can do. And also that what we are talking about, is there a cohort that we can actually bounce ideas? So what was your next steps if you want to go part of it? But let's reserve that question for the last. Let's talk about your University of Texas, San Antonio's BRM journey, because as you just completed the session, a lot of people have been asking, who are these folks? When can I be connected with that? So it's something that is getting ripples here, and it could actually be felt to the rest of the world. So give us a sense of, and I know that you are passionate about what you do, but give us a sense of the flavor of the journey that you are in.
I want Ashley to start it because she literally brought the BRM program to UTSA, and then I'll kind of transition into like what it is today.
Yeah, I'm going to say I did not bring it to UTSA. Kendra Ketchum, our amazing VP for information management, she came from UNT, so she brought the concept, the idea, and I've been in help desk roles forever. So the journey was very much commodity, which is what we talked about, was being beyond a commodity. But I loved the people I worked with. I got a lot of experience with the service teams, understanding what they do, the customers, but I didn't feel like we were doing as much as we could. You know, we were very reactionary, very transactional, and I always wanted to connect people and go above and beyond. And there was diamonds in the rough out there, but we didn't have a role. So standing it up with the concept, when she brought it in, she saw it, I was like, okay, I was one of the founding BRMs of it. So took a lot of concepts from BRM Institute and then really gauged with what was needed at the university, because BRM doesn't look the same everywhere. So took a lot of the capabilities, did the BRMP, and really found out what the gap was. And then that kind of helped shape what we were doing at the university and find out what is the needs of the users. That's the reason why we do everything. What's the value add that BRMs can do to UTSA? So, and we got Jake coming in who completely shook it up. We were 2 years in, so there's so much culture change that's happening. You're trying to get people adapted, and it's like, I don't like change, don't touch my stuff. Like, I don't know what you guys really want to do with us. And then 2 years in was when you started to see the ship kind of turn.
And that was the key. That's when I entered the picture. Because they had set that roadmap. They had gotten to people's brains. And, you know, that's so much empowerment when you get into somebody's thinking the benefits of the practice of BRM. And when I was finally able to give them that face, this is the campus BRM. Oh my gosh, so many conversations, so many partnerships just took off, because they're like, all right, we understand what you're trying to do. Now we got the individual that can really grab onto it. Let's have some serious conversations and get together. So academic innovations, all these other departments that we have across the university, they have been such important pieces of the pie.
Sure.
Because without them, I mean, we wouldn't be holistic. We would be still centralized IT, just doing centralized IT work without being the community, the bridge. So much of the progress we've been able to make, becoming D1, creating the environment and proactive culture we have within how we work as departments has completely been responsible for programs like us and working with our partners and having them build the same kind of practices based on what we do.
Right.
And that's been transformational for everything we do across campus.
Right. And what about the strategic services? Give a list about the structure of the strategic services, because when I spoke to your team, I found that was very, very unique.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of people are asking the structure, but why don't you explain how is strategic services formed and what do they comprise of and who are the members?
How we cleaned up our mess.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because we had a lot of different groups. We have, business IT analysts, they're always there, they're part of us. And we've taught them BRM practices, but how do we bring this all into one vertical to make sure our processes are aligning? And we talk about that a lot of our material.
Sure.
So we have the BRMs, that's us, your local friendly BRMs. Right. And then we have a group of 4 business analysts, IT business analysts that are trained as BRMs, but they are very specific to systems and they have their realm, of course, and their practices. Sure. And then we have a PMO office. 4 project managers in there, and then we had vendor management that gives a lot of our contract work for the centralized IT area. So we were never together, the 4 of us, in a group, and the VMO didn't exist. Right. So Debbie, she came in, she's our VP. She was like, all right, here we go. We're building it. Yeah. You're all going to come into the same table. You're going to have the same conversation because you already are talking together when we do projects. Right. So why are we so disconnected? Why are we not on the same page with our systems and processes? And she's done a really great job of aligning us, making sure we are speaking the same language. So when we start a demand, if we're going through the discovery process, we don't have to do that work all over again when a project manager gets a hold of it. Sure. And they're trying to bring it through their life cycle.
Yeah. I think that's phenomenal, because most of the organizations that we see, you don't find the PMO as part of this whole umbrella. It's either outside the periphery, so you kind of get the natural tussle going between one department to another department. So that was
right. And then when you start looking at the foundation, they're so similar in how they connect.
Yeah, exactly.
It's why aren't they together?
Right. And in terms of the how long has been the journey now? I mean, and what's the definitive business outcomes that you would ascertain that is because of the BRM as a group, or strategic services as a group?
So the BRM office has been for 4 years. We established the strategic services division about a year.
Okay.
I think
October 1st.
October 1st. I was like, we just hit a year. So all the groups came in, BAs came in shortly after the BRM. So the goals, I mean, the first thing was getting culture to understand who we are. I think that's the baseline of where you have to start with a BRM practice, BA practice. It's so new to everyone, and the terminology is not used. So what is a business relationship manager? Even just the BRM acronym BA, we know what it is as IT, but we have to explain it to the business. We have to understand what the role is and what the value is that we can add, but not just us talking one way. We have to understand and what do you need from us? And having that two-way conversation and gaining the trust. And I think we're there. I think there's a lot of room for growth and stuff like that, but we're definitely at that part. And I think that was the peak of where things change and we're able to be, we're not strategic partners yet in the BRM capability, but I definitely think we are trusted advisors, which was a big moment for us. Like we're going to be a trusted advisor. So now we're being more efficient. And I think that was a huge objective, is being efficient, not with just money, but just what can you get out of it? Are our partners happy? Are they fulfilled? Are they wanting to contact us? Not as this is a problem and I'm going to contact you because something's down. Just being like, oh my God, I have this idea and this group can help me. Strategic services, they helped me so much last time. We saved time. They provided valuable feedback. Because some of the time people don't know what they're asking for. And we want to be that one point of contact. So for me, that's always an objective, is having a person that you don't have to know the answer to everything. You don't know what group you have to go to. You can come to a BRM, you can come to strategic services, anyone, and we'll help get you to the right person. We won't cold call you to someone else. Like we walk hand in hand together, and we don't have a bias against keeping those silos. We definitely want to centralize the campus community, because at the end, we have students that are building our community. And to me, that's so important, that this is the future. We are building the future for these students that are going to be our leaders, that are going to be so much that's happening in our world that why wouldn't we give them the best experience?
Yeah, and that's the biggest goal of BRM is that interpersonal connection and how we can build those relationships. But thinking from a business perspective and kind of a quantitative sense too, we've saved tens of thousands of dollars to the university by leveraging pre-existing services and having those transparent conversations. It's like she said, you think you want this, but we already have this. Let's just change your idea just a little bit. You know, align with what we're doing, and there you go. You just saved $10,000 from one purchase. So we're entering the conversation before departments and big units on our campus, or even writing a check or getting in the idea of procurement. And that is huge because they started going down these trails by themselves for so many years. And then right when they get down to implementation, which is always the last part of the project, then it's like, IT, why aren't you ready for us? Why aren't you doing this with it? It's like, you guys have been planning this for 6 months, but now we're only hearing about it? What's happening? And that strategic initiative of just aligning that way, it just saves, like you said, time, money, but just frustration. And it takes that community out. We're not decentralized. You might be working in math, but the way that we communicate and we will work together, you will not feel that I'm in IT and you're math at all. You're UTSA in that aspect.
Awesome. And I think when I had this conversation with Debbie on Monday, she told that there are 3 rock stars. You have two here, and one is Jonathan. And we'll say hi to him as Jonathan because he's doing a great job.
Yes,
but what I realized with your team is that the level of passion, the sense of ownership. Because when I was talking to Debbie, she was saying, okay, if there's a problem, I just leave these 3 folks there and it'll be taken care of. And that's a profound statement because as a leader, you not only empower, but you have shown results time and again. That gives people a confidence that we should get them all done. And that's so fascinating and liberating because you have an environment which is pretty healthy with a psychological safety that you can go all out to do that. Do you think that culture plays a huge role with UTSA?
1000%. So trust is at the baseline of everything we do. So a trusting environment, being able to know that we have each other's backs and we support each other. And from the top down, from Debbie to alongside each other, Jonathan, I, all the BAs, PMs, we're all there to support each other. It's not competitive where you see that toxic leadership happening is really top down, you delegate, you do this, and it's not collaborative. And I think culture is 100% what drives results is a positive culture. It's infectious. I mean,
we've built our tribe. These are our people, and we have this energy, and we know that we're not just trying to one up each other at the end of the day. Like we are, whatever success I have, Ashley has, and whatever Debbie sees, like it all just trickles down into so even that permeates through the entire culture. So even though we're creating it, we know we have it within UTS. As BRMs, it's our job to really make sure every other person has that. And I think we do it pretty well.
We do. It's one of those things, IT people, you don't get this everywhere, but they want to get their work done. They want to call it a day. And we're like, no, have fun at your job. Let's make it not just our group. We don't want to be the group that's out there having fun. We want everyone to enjoy it. We want it to be a journey for everyone. So culture is one of the things that we're pretty resilient and
well, our entire presentation here is beyond a commodity, and you're talking about that. It's really culture based, and how people are utilizing your resources and services, and seeing how that pairs with the rest of everything else that's going on campus. And culture, not having that synergistic kind of like collaborative culture, we couldn't have that experience of this presentation without that experience.
So, what happens from BRM Connect? What are some takeaways that you would like to take back to the UTSA, and what would your journey look like from here?
Take back to UTSA. We've heard so many different stories. Like I've felt that team, we are on track. Like just that, like
it validates the whole thing.
Just the validation. It's like we've been really operating in our own. Of course, we have resources and we look for examples and we base our models off of things that are out there because we're not trying to recreate the wheel, obviously. But we are operating in our own world. And this being our first connects, it's like. All right.
It's hard to gauge. Like, where are you at? Where are you sitting?
Right. And I can take this back to the team and be like, y'all, we are so sweet. And I think that's that reinforcement and empowerment for them will really sink.
And then having a community now and knowing that we're on track, but there's so much to learn. I mean, we are not at our peak at all. We're not like, this is it. Like we killed it at this. That's not the end. There's so much to learn, and there's so much to learn from this community and the relationships we've made. We've made an amazing connection with you, Suresh. So I'm just excited to continue those conversations because I think that will flourish a lot of ideas to bring back to our campus of what we can utilize and what we can do. So I want to sit down and process. We're so hyped and in it that decompressing and really talking about reflecting on the notes and the sessions and
Sure.
seeing
Yes.
what can we do, what are things that we can incorporate. Maybe we do have gaps and
Sure.
stuff, but that's what I'm most excited for, is just that continued conversation where there's continuous improvement, because we can all do that individually and then as an organization as well.
Great. So last one was, I think these people reflect one thing very clearly, which we call as the um, confidence with humbleness.
Oh,
And I think
Thank
that humility and confidence is so important, because one is obviously you need to take charge and do what is best, but you also know that we don't have all the answers. And we require that support from the community, from the part. And that's where we are all here to kind of recharge ourselves and go forward. So my final question to you is, someone who's stepping out into the shoes of a BRM and they don't know whether this is going to be good, bad, or ugly, what would you suggest as, I call you as veteran BRMs, what would you call as the pros and cons? Or what do they have to look out for? Because it's like a rookie, and it's kind of like amateur going there and finding out, is that a good career prospect for me to jump in and see what it is? What would you suggest?
I'd love to throw it to Jake, considering he is fresh-faced, and I really feel like he's a rising star in this. He's only 2 years in.
Right.
He did do BRM before this, so I'd love to hear from your experience within the 2 years in, and then we've met with a lot of new people. What do you think?
I honestly, I keep on hearing about the empowerment of a BRM, and it's like when you're getting fresh into it, like just looking at the job, you Google the job description, you get all these different things because you wear so many different hats. That's not going to really help you out.
Not at all. You
But
can't put it in requirements.
you really, really can't. So getting into forums, getting into the culture, because we like to talk as BRM.
Sure.
And we're not afraid of sharing material.
Sure.
I found a lot of what we're doing just by Googling what the other practices and seeing what they're doing across industries. Being hungry, humble, and smart.
Sure.
Those 3 pillars are foundational to you being a successful BRM.
Right.
Being close to your leadership, but also understanding that it's just a title at the end of the day.
Sure.
You should treat everybody with the same amount of opportunity, even if it's a small initiative or a large initiative.
Sure.
Because once you create that equality and you're able to build relationships based on whoever it is, you will soar so much higher than the rest, because you're not taking anything for granted. You're not just, this is what's going to get me the best presentation, get me in front of the CIO, right? That's not important to us.
Right.
We honestly want to be with the people at the lowest bottom of the totem
Sure.
pole, because
Sure.
that's where a lot of the work gets done, right? And just being able to cultivate that with my service owners, shout out to y'all out there if you're watching. Like, I love my service teams. Right. I love the faculty we work with that have all these innovative ideas, and all they want to do is just build progress and make change, and surround yourself with those people, because you can quickly get caught up into the mundane process that's been going on for decades.
Sure.
It's not going to help you as a BRM. Get progress, look at what's innovation, get what we call it, the goldfish brain.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen 3
seconds.
seconds, forget about that negative stuff.
Yeah.
It should go
Wow.
right, water off a duck's
Keep
back,
going.
right? And so just go with it. You're going to have your downfalls. You're going to have the pits of time where it's like, what? I mean, no progress is happening because this demand has just been sitting here forever. What is happening? It'll change. It'll happen. More projects will come in, and you kind of understand if it's something sitting there for so long, it's probably because it's really not a really important initiative.
Right.
You get to really balance those things and come back to it. So stay strong, stay true, but be hungry, humble, and smart.
Wow, that's a loaded one. I think it'll take some time to digest this whole thing. That's cool
so
stuff. I mean, Jake, I have to rewind and find out what did he say. And just look at the
I'm sorry.
transcript.
Take a quote.
I talk really fast. I'm sorry.
No, but I think it's all very loaded because it's straight from the heart. And I think whoever is watching this will know that that's the kind of passionate BRMs you have. And why would it not rub your shoulders in terms of enthusiasm, right? So what is your thought? And you have been in this particular space and you've been doing it well. So what does it take us to move forward after seeing this whole journey? Where do you think you would need to put your effort in the journey of moving it beyond?
Moving it beyond, wow. Because
we at TaUB, we say it's taking you beyond.
Yeah,
we say that we
beyond.
step apart and say, what is that you're going to take as BRMs to lead it forward?
For us, it's really just building these cohorts and seeing if we can be a coaching to give back, because obviously we learned, we're hoping we can give information and help them build their BRM practices, and then continue at the university as well.
Right.
And continuing, hopefully we can grow as a BRM institution. I'd love to see it expand. We're right now central IT. So we cater a lot of other things. Obviously, we don't have requirements for everything for BRM, so we find ourselves kind of saying yes to things because we can fulfill the role, and that's what we want to do. We're helpers. Naturally, at the end of the day, we're helpers.
Sure.
So hopefully we can expand that and then just kind of bring all our lessons and things we've learned and then teach people, enable people to know that they're at the table for a reason.
Yes.
Sure.
And I want other BRMs, new BRMs, to know that it is a valuable role. You're not a commodity.
Sure.
And I hate to bring it back to our thing, but it's being a commodity is going and stepping out of the traditional sense of, oh, I need something from you. I have a project, and this is the traditional by the book BRM. You're
Sure.
going to do governance. You're going to take a project. It's like, it's so beyond that. And you want to be there, arrive, show up,
Sure.
meet people, like find out what they need, and talk about what their needs are. And to me, that's so important. So I just want to continue. We have a huge campus and it's growing. You're getting, if you haven't heard of UTSA, the next 5 years, it is flourishing.
Yeah.
So I just see the college is growing, more needs for grants, our research, our cybersecurity office is huge. So I just seeing that continuing, and that means more needs in IT. IT is definitely the direction we're going. So if we can expand our group and then just continuing to grow, I think that is something that we just need to keep up with IT, which means us constantly pivoting, changing, and then bringing value back at the end of the day.
Yeah, the value add, because I forget who the keynote speaker was. There's some presenter that said that they started training their CIO to be a BRM implicitly.
Right.
They were just teaching the skills and instilling in them, and I'm like, oh, that's what we should be doing everybody.
Right.
So we all need to be certified, but if we're all talking that same language, and that's the big value of our group is, having that information be penetrable across all the barriers we have.
Sure.
That's the growth.
Yes.
And the value, and how do we look at this demand and what it did for our campus 5 years down the line to really evaluate what we're doing. It's something I know we need to move on and do better at, and we all have change management.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we're all not doing everything perfectly. And as the institution grows and as our businesses transform, that change has to happen.
Sure.
Or else we will be left in the dust.
Exactly.
Literally.
We can't be doing the same things we've been doing for 10 plus years and getting comfortable and getting stuck, because that's how universities move past us. That's how organizations move past us. And it's just continuing that on and saying that change is okay. Change is welcome. Change is good.
Yeah.
And showing the value behind it, the outcomes, because that's what people want to see is, okay, this is great. I hear the terminology, I hear the tech behind it, but what's in it for me? And I've heard that so many times. That was one of the first terms. I had a BRM that also stood up this with me, and he always said that WIFM. And I'm like, what is WIFM? Like, can someone explain to me? And the fact that I'd seen that during like 2 or 3 presentations, I was like, it makes sense to me, because we're not just going to be speaking from us. We need to get stuff back from the customer. So,
but I think there's a key point for all of us is what isn't for me that is going to be important. People who are watching this live session, you know that it's all about just delivering value, business value to your business partners, to your colleagues, to your employees, but also to the community back. So what we are doing is just to give that learning that we have heard over the period of time to give back to the community. And I hope we'll see more kind of that options moving forward. And thank you so much, Jake and Ashley, for such a lightning chat. It looks like a fireside chat, about 27 minutes. just flew away.
I know. I was like, this is like been a 5-minute conversation. What are we doing?
It feels like it flew by, and the fact that you pulled us in, we're so grateful. You're like, hey, let's have a conversation. It's been amazing.
Yes, thank you so
Excellent so much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, and you have a lot of things coming up to that. But I wish you all great success in your BRM journey. And I'm looking forward to seeing more success stories as we see next year, because remember, next year BRM Institute is completing its 10th anniversary. So it's a decade old. So it will require a bigger toast. We don't know where it is set.
Exactly.
We'll
be there. We'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. So we got already 2 participants signed up for BRM Institute, BRMConnect. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And we wish you all good luck. And we will be there next time with another set of hosts. Until then, stay tuned, stay safe. And thank you for listening. Thank you very much.